This is a green light. This is a red light. Okay. And this is a yellow light. Which is just a quick little pop. My neighbor's dog is outside right now. Good boy, Rizzo. Yep. All you need to do is use these tiny little pops to communicate with them. Other than that, this leash should always be super duper loose. Loose as you can get it. Come on, Rizzo. Yep. Good boy. Good. Now, as soon as he goes ahead of me and he leaves this, what I like to call this invisible box, he should be about at my knee. If he's all the way up there, he's in control. So I'm going to step forward and make sure that he is just slightly behind me. The whole goal with healing is to have your dog following you. So it's like playing a game of follow the leader. If he is in front of you, he can't be following you. Yep. So just as soon, see, he's not even paying attention, because like if I turn, he doesn't even notice. Yep. Okay, so with the red light, we do pressure on. As soon as his butt hits the ground, it's pressure off. Pressure on, pressure off, pressure on, pressure off. Oh. And this is 1 finger's worth of pressure. This is not a lot of pressure. Less is more. If we teach him this teeny little force, means I need you to calm down and pay attention. That's all you're going to need to do is use those tiny little pops and stops to get him to focus on you. Yep, those yawns are a good thing. That's him relieving some mental energy. So I always let this just rest on my fingertips. See, right there is when he took the lead. He kind of picked up the pace. He started, excuse me, he started kind of doing his own thing. So again, we're passing my neighbor right now who has their little dog out. So as soon as he stops paying attention, this is when I'm going to reinforce calm behavior. So I'm going to put him in that sit position and release. He's whining a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to make him sit there and just kind of dwell, and I'm going to give him other things to do. Good boy. Okay, come. Rizzo. Yeah, good boy. Rizzo. Yes, giving him things to follow. Good boy. Rizzo, come. Sit. Okay. Heel. Heel. So right there, with turns, what you want to do. So right now, this is what you're doing if you're just letting him kind of do his own thing, right? He is way too overwhelmed. He's just kind of going to do his own thing. And then we're going to be like, oh, don't do that, right? Excuse me. So when you're working with him, it's really important that you understand that you are in control and you need to be the handler and he needs to follow direction. If he doesn't have any direction to follow, whatever he does is technically appropriate. So we need to make sure that we're giving him things to do, we're reinforcing calm state of mind, and we are working his brain and making sure he is following us. So we want to do a lot of direction changes and a lot of pace changes. We're not just going to go in one straight line and just walk around the block, right? Okay. So when we walk, I do a lot of zigzag patterns. When I first start teaching my dogs to heel in general, I don't even use the word heel, and it's not so much about, doing this perfect walk. The first thing is teaching your dog to just follow you, right? So I go from far, and I keep this very loose. Rizzo. Yes, good boy. Rizzo. Yay. Right, and I'm just backpedaling. Rizzo. Yes, good boy. Good, yay, good boy. Come here, buddy. Right, follow. So pops to get him to pay attention. Pops. Right, so again, another dog outside. He hasn't seen him yet, so he's really excited. So now we're going to kind of clean that up. And I'm going to walk forward now, and we're going to start getting into this nice heel. So as soon as he stops paying attention, you have 3 options. You have a stop, your red light, your pop, your yellow light, or change directions, right? So he's got 2 dogs outside right now and he's overwhelmed by it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce calm state of mind. Okay? Oh boy. So I'm just adjusting his leash a little bit. We want to make sure his leash is as nice as high up as you can get it. You don't want it on his throat. You want it framing his skull. Okay, so we're just standing here just reinforcing calm. Yeah. Yeah. Good boy. Okay, good. Reinforcing calm. So as soon as that butt hits the ground, pressure releases. So with a red light, okay, what you're teaching them is pressure on means calm down. Excuse me. We don't know that that's happened as humans until we see a physical change in our dog, which is going to be a more submissive pose of a sit. So when pressure turns on, we're telling them calm down, and as soon as he does, the pressure releases. So it's nice and loose at all times. Okay. Good boy. So he should stay in that sit position until you say either okay, which is a complete release. He's in free mode if you say okay. Or if you say heel, which means walk with me at my pace. So he should be standing right next to you. His nose shouldn't go past your knee, and you should be able to turn and him be following along with you. Now, if he's not paying attention to you, look, he's not going to realize when I turn, and he's not going to turn with me. That means he's not heeling. He might be walking my pace, but I promise you he's not heeling. Heeling means he's following me. So we want to clean that up a little bit by doing more things to get him to focus on you. So if you do left turns, see how he's checking in now and he just did a yawn? That's great. That's the point of a heel, is to give your dog mental and physical exercise. He's tired because this is a lot of thinking for him. He's like, what are we doing, right? So a lot of turns. Left-hand turns are good because if I turn and he's not paying attention, what's going to happen is he's going to get kind of, with little dogs, you can't, with my big dogs, I can use my knee and kind of bump into them. Obviously, we can't step on Rizzo, but you're going to kind of just be forceful with yourself to let him know. You're like, hey, there you go. So I didn't step on him, of course, but he got kind of tripped up where he was like, ooh, what? That's what we want. So that's the good thing with left turns. Right hand turns are good to practice your handling skills, because what's going to happen is if you turn right and he's not paying attention, if you're all tensed up on this leash and it's wrapped up around your hand and you turn right, you're going to pull him. If we are teaching him pressure means stop and relax, pressure cannot mean move with me as well. Good boy. So he did exactly what he was supposed to do right there, which is sit on pressure, because that's what he's been taught to do now. If we teach him pressure means move also, you're telling him, I want you to run a red light right now, and that's not going to be fair. How you doing? Come here, Rizzo. How you doing? Come here, buddy. So I'm just going to kind of hop out of the way. All right, so we're going to reinforce calm again. Good. Send it. Rizzo. Fix his leash. And I'm just going to reinforce that. He's excited. There's people right next to us. Okay. Yeah. Good boy. Rizzo. Yes, good job. Good boy. So right now, because there's a really hard distraction, Rizzo, I'm going to keep doing things to have him watch me instead. Rizzo. Yes, good boy. Sit. Good. Okay. Come. Yes, sit. Good boy. Sit. Stay. Okay. Here. Right? So back to the right hand turns, what I was talking about. So if he's not paying attention and you make a right hand turn, what you are going to in turn do is pull him around a turn. So right hand turns are good for your handling skills because it's going to teach you the appropriate way to use your tool and your leash, which is going to be pops. So if I turn and he doesn't realize, I'm going to pop him to say, pay attention, right? But then it's immediately, yes, good boy. It's immediately loose. Pop, release. Yes, good boy. Pop, release. Rizzo. Rizzo. Good. So we're reinforcing everything we're asking him to do. Even though he's kind of paying attention, you see how far in the outskirts he was of me, and like he's easy to control just because he's little. The hardest thing about it is going to be keeping him paying attention and focusing on you. Once he loses focus on you, you have to be the one to get it back from him. So you can use treats, you can use I have hot dogs I'm about to go get right now. We were outside just going potty and we decided to just take a walk while we were out here. So, but when we go out in public, I'll definitely have hot dogs with me or a high value treat that he doesn't get on a normal occasion so that it's really interesting and I have a way to get his attention when there's really hard distractions. Because it's going to be difficult. That's like taking, if I take him to a pet store, that's like taking a kid to a toy store and being like, well, don't be excited and don't, run down every aisle and say, look at this, look at this, look at this, right? They're going to do that. But if they're doing it in an appropriate way, that's okay. As long as you're reinforcing calm behavior and every time he gets a little worked up or he's not paying attention, you're using pressure and release or you're using a treat to get him back into this calm state and focused on you. That's the whole key to having a well-behaved dog when you're out in public walking and stuff. So, and he's so sweet, little man. He's the sweetest. I love him. Okay, Rizzo. Right, so when we're walking, we always want to have this real loose. See, as soon as it went straight, that's how I know he's no longer paying attention to me. You always want your leash to have this U shape right there. If it goes like that, he's not with you. He's not a good boy. And you saw how little pressure I just added right there? He felt that pressure. So when I say less is more, I really mean it. So if you teach him just this little bit means I need you to stop, I need you to focus, right? Then he's going to know that. If you're reinforcing that we walk forward when there's pressure, even this much pressure, see, he's like trying to figure out what else to do because he felt pressure. Okay, right? He's now learned for the last, week and a half, 2 weeks or so. I'm blanking on how long he's been with me. But see, as soon as I do that little tap, how he slows down, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want from him, right? So it's now going to be your turn to learn how to be very loose with your slip lead, okay? So this is now a communication device. It is not just a tether and a way to get him to pull him around. It is how you're going to communicate with him. Because dogs do not speak English and we don't speak bark, we have to have a common line of communication. That common line is going to be a pressure and release system. So we do that in several different ways. Pressure on, pressure off, and then he's also learned spatial pressure. Okay, which is pressure on, pressure off. Okay, pressure on, and this is no leash. Pressure off, pressure on, pressure off. And that's with no leash at all, right? Okay. So dogs speak more with a pressure system than they do when we kind of over talk to them and stuff. That's why when we do commands, it's very one word, sit, come, short and simple. Because they're really just learning tones and an action to that tone. That's why a lot of dogs can do just hand signals because the word doesn't really matter. You could teach a dog that the word banana means put your butt on the ground or sit, right? It doesn't matter. It's just that you're pairing a sound to an action. So you can make it whatever you want. But if you are using your leash appropriately, you have a way to communicate with him that I need you to calm down for a red light or I need you to pay attention for a yellow light, right? Green light is good. We're moving forward. And then again, see how it went straight? But I didn't even do anything. The leash went straight, and he felt that little tiny force of pressure turn on, and he instantly slowed down. Watch, I'll do it again. See? I didn't do anything there. See how he slows down when he applies pressure to himself? And he is teeny tiny forces of pressure, which is awesome. You just need to, good boy. It's almost harder for people to learn to not use pressure on a leash with their dog because we're so used to, wrapping this around our hand and, oh, he's pulling, but then you move forward with the pull, right? So if he's pulling you down the street and you're just moving behind him, you're telling him this is how we move forward, pressure, right? But we're just doing the opposite now. So I gave him 2 or 3 pops right there. He was kind of picking up pace a little bit too much. He wasn't focusing on me, even after I said, hey, pay attention, pay attention. If I have to do it 2, 3 times tops and he doesn't do it, then we're going to move into a red light or a calmer state of mind. Now, he's also been practicing transitional, which is when we're just going to put our safety up, and I'm going to make this into an extra big loop down here, and you're going to figure 8 this. Okay, and then it goes up over his muzzle. So we do this in high distraction settings, okay? And then we want to make sure that our silver loop stays centered with his nose, just like when you use a regular slip lead. Your safety is going to go down to just about right there so that it's still loose, but not so loose that it just falls right off of his face. Right, so what this does is it not only applies that pressure to the pressure points in his skull, and that's why it's so important when we do this method, just the regular slip lead, that we don't put it on his trachea down here, right? Because we're not trying, if it's down here, you're pushing on his throat. If it's up here, it's on his skull, and it has pressure points in his skull as well as in his muzzle right here. So when you're in a high distraction setting, like you take him out into public or you go to a park or you're at a dog festival, like a bark in the park type deal, and there's a lot going on, this just gives you an additional way to be able to communicate with him a little faster. Now, he's only done this a few times, so I would still consider him conditioning at this point. So he does still want, come on, buddy, good boy. Yeah, come on, Rizzo. I'm going to start running so he goes, there you go. So I don't want to pull him at all. This way is applying pressure to even more pressure points. So he is feeling it even quicker and even more. So he might paw at it a little bit just because, again, he is in the conditioning phase of this yet, and he's still just not quite used to it being on his face at the moment. But it's the exact same idea, pressure on, pressure off. I'm just going to take it off because I'd like to do more conditioning, and when I'm filming, it's hard to pay attention. But I just wanted to show you real quick in this video that when he comes home, he will have had more practice with this, so he won't be as inclined to paw at it. But if he is, and you're using this method, which is the transitional method, if he's pawing at it, that is a clear sign to you that you are applying pressure even when you don't realize you are doing it. So I promise you, even just this, like it's balancing on my finger right here, as soon as that goes away, that's pressure. That's pressure. So it's a lot. You just have to learn to just always have this resting on your fingertips and really loosey-goosey. Okay, Rizzo, good boy. Right, so this is a nice heel. He's walking my pace. As soon as he gets ahead of me. So right there, see how it went straight? I'm going to start turning a different direction. Now, I'm not going to pull him. Good boy. I'm not going to pull him because if I pull him, again, it's just instinctual. You turn, he doesn't come, you pull dog. You have to learn to break that habit as a handler, because what you're doing, again, is you're telling them red light means stop and red light means go. And it's going to be very inconsistent and you're going to have a hard time. So learning to not pull, but instead say, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Hey, pay attention. Look at me. That's what you want to do. Okay. Right, so I'll show you, right? We turn, pop, Rizzo, yes, good boy. But it's loose, right? So I popped and I said his name at the same time. That's exactly what a pop means. Pay attention. So when you say your dog's name, you say Rizzo, it means, hey, look at me. That's what a pop is. You're just adding his name to it. So if you were to add an e-collar to his program, that would be the next step as far as what a pop is on a leash, is how you use an e-collar. So it's, if I say his name, if I say Rizzo and he doesn't pay attention, then I can say Rizzo and give him a pop on the leash. Now, if I didn't have a leash on him and I had an e-collar, that second time, instead of popping the leash, I tapped the button instead. That's how an e-collar is supposed to be used. It is not meant to be used as a way to, I said sit, you didn't do it, so I'm going to stim you. That is not how it should be used. Your dog will become fear motivated, blah, blah, blah. Come on, buddy. So right there, because he added a little pressure to himself, he was stopping and he was putting his head down because he felt pressure. So, what I had to do was release that tension and call his name. Come on, buddy. Yeah, good boy. Come on, good job. And I got to kind of get him to just pick up the pace a little bit there. Good boy. Right, so when you pick him up, we'll, of course, we will do a whole lesson together on all of this. But this is a good way for you to kind of look back at the video and remember some things that we will talk about. He's doing a great job, and again, we're going to start going out into public. Hopefully later today, if not tomorrow, we will start. But yeah, we will definitely have videos and pictures and whatnot when we go out and do that together. But all in all, he is doing a great job. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. It doesn't matter if he's been home for a month or whatever. Just please let me know. I'm always happy to answer any questions. So if anybody else has any questions or needs help with their dogs, feel free to give us a call today. We will be happy to help you like we are with the Riz. So I hope everyone has a good one. See you, bye, boo-boos.